Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales, episode number 44. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. I'm Jenny, and today's show I'm talking with Josh all about his family's very big Disney trip. It was the first time for his wife and two boys, and his first time as an adult. This episode is very long, so it's broken into two shows. This is the first half of their vacation, and the second half will be released next week. This show is sponsored by Trolley Lane Travel, an Authorized Disney Travel Agency. Disney just released that their 2023 vacation packages will open June 8th for booking. If you're interested in booking a 2023 Disney vacation, then I would love to help you. See the show notes for a form so you can get on my waitlist. I am ready to get this vacation planned for you. If you have any questions about a Disney vacation, like what's the best time to visit, a good fit resort for you and your family, or just anything, I would love to help. So send me an email at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com. If you're on Instagram, you can find Disney Travel Tales there. This is a great way to connect with me, and you can also send me messages there for any Disney questions. It's also so fun to stay up to date with what's going on with the podcast and to see pictures from my guests on their vacations. Did you know that the best way to support a podcast is by leaving it a positive review? It's free, easy, and fast, and I promise you would be so surprised how happy it makes the creator. So if you're enjoying this show, please support me by leaving a positive review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Okay, so let's get going. Imagine yourself getting a Dole Whip and waiting in line for Pirates of the Caribbean, and let's go. Today on the show we have Josh, and Josh is going to tell us all about his really big Florida trip he just got home from, and I'm so excited to hear about it. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Awesome. I'm super excited to hear about your trip. To get going, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you traveled with, and what your experience with Disney parks is?
My name is Josh. Went with my wife and my two boys, Marissa, and then my son Tristan, who is 10, and Dylan, who is 3 years old. We live in Northern Ohio. I'm a mail carrier. She is a photographer in digital design. And we have, my wife and my boys have never been to Disney before. I've been there once back in 2000.
That's exciting. Yeah, it's changed a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think Animal Kingdom had only been open for a year or two when we went. And, I still had some vague memories of, a few attractions and things. Couple things that stood out, but for the most part, it was, brand new, especially doing it, planning it and going as an adult for the first time. So.
Yeah, it's completely different. I kind of had the same type of experience. I went when I was in 4th grade, and then I didn't go back again until I was an adult, and it was totally different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I've wanted to do before Dylan was born. We were kind of thinking about it. It just didn't happen, and then we had Dylan, so we wanted to wait till he was a few years old so that, he could at least do a few things, and just kind of waited for the right opportunity. COVID happened, so this was just, it worked out this year for getting the time off and having the money to go do it. So
yeah, I think y'all went in a great time. Okay, so let's just dive right into your trip. So you went May 9th through May 20th, and y'all did a Disney/Universal trip, right?
Yeah, we had 7-day park tickets and 3-day park tickets for Universal.
And your park ticket at Disney had Genie Plus on it, correct?
Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
Things changed quite a few times leading up to the trip. Originally, we just had 5-day tickets and was staying at a different resort. And then we added another day, and then added another day, and then changed resorts. And through all that, we had originally had Genie Plus on it for the whole trip. And then my first park day, when I went to book my first ride, found out we didn't. And
Oh
somehow through all
no.
the changes, it got dropped off of our package.
Oh
So we
no.
ended up having to do it day by day.
Oh man. Okay, so yeah, we will get into all of that. Okay, so y'all, I'm assuming you flew, right?
Yeah, we flew from Cleveland Hopkins. We flew with Frontier Airlines. Um, Even with, we ended up doing like the Works package where it gives you a checked and a carry-on bag per person. You got to choose your seats and all that. And it still ended up being cheaper for us than doing like Southwest or Delta or anything. Um, did a lot of research and stuff, but it was all right. It gave us the freedom to, if we ended up with more bags than we thought we would or anything like that, we were covered. And unfortunately, though, we had a 6 a.m. flight. Wasn't looking forward to getting up that early, but yeah, we were up at 3:45 a.m. to get ready and leave. We live about half an hour from the airport, so we arrived at the airport at 3:45 in the morning. Got our bags checked, got through security and all that. Didn't have any problems. At 5:24, we started boarding, took off at 6:05, and landed in Orlando at 8:15 a.m. No problems with the flight. Everything was smooth. Uh, was Haven't flown for 5 years since our honeymoon, when we went to Jamaica, and other than that, so it was only the second time flying. First time for the boys, so gave them both the window seats, and they enjoyed because the sun started rising just as we were starting to take off, so got light out for them to see, and they were in awe over that. And
Oh yeah,
same
that's so
thing when we
fun.
landed. So
Oh, that's so nice. I love sunrises on the airplane. It's like magical.
yeah, yeah, and it was about 45 degrees when we left Cleveland in the morning, and about 80 degrees when we landed in Florida. So
That's perfect.
wearing long pants and sweaters and immediately getting them taken off by the time we got to the bus.
Oh, absolutely. So, what transportation did y'all use from the airport to your resort?
We went with the Sunshine Flyer.
Hmm.
Um, Dylan loves trains, so I thought just getting the bus decorated with a train was cool. I mean, it was all right. We By the time we got our bags and got down there, they were in the same area as Mears Connect. But besides the train decals, we figured hopefully it might go a little smoother because they weren't as popular as Mears.
Hmm.
And that kind of ended up being true. They were clear down all the way at the end, but we only waited about 5 minutes before the bus showed up and loaded all the luggage underneath. And the bus was maybe half full and only took about 5 minutes after we got on the bus before they pulled out and left.
Oh, that's nice.
So it was a good experience. Then they had, just kind of shorts, cartoon shorts on the screens inside, and very comfortable. So
That's good. I haven't talked to anyone who's used them yet, so that's good to know. What resort did y'all stay at?
so we stayed at Art of Animation. Originally we had for Pop Century, and we kind of really wanted Art of Animation from the get-go, just for the kids, for the theming, and we wanted the family suites to have the extra space, the extra bathroom, and the little kitchenette area. So, um, yeah, the last thing we changed, I was able to upgrade to that. And so at that point, that was only 2 weeks before our trip. And so, the travel agent checked to see if there was any rooms available for our trip. And we ended up selecting just the family suites category
Hmm.
because they don't really have like preferred or options like that. But for the family suites, you could just pick family suites where they would assign us the room when we get there, or you could pick your room because there was Lion King Cars and Little Nemo. And then Little Nemo were kind of like the preferred rooms. They cost a little bit more. But we did the cheapest one where they can select for us because, when we had talked about it, it was funny. Like the boys like really love Cars. My wife really loves Lion King, and I was indifferent. I was like, I'm happy with whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it'd be fun just to find out when we get there which category we'd be in.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are by the time we got to resort, it was what time was it? 10 after 10. So I really didn't think like the room would be ready because the check-in is at 3, and I've heard a lot of times the rooms aren't ready, even sometimes past 3 o'clock. And we had groceries scheduled to be delivered and a stroller to meet up there. So we kind of figured when we get there, we'd end up just having time to check out the resort, maybe go swimming or whatever. But before we even got to the resort, I got the text that our room was ready and that we were going to be in Finding Nemo. So I was really surprised too to get like one of the preferred rooms, especially when we just paid the cheapest option. So
Yes, that's awesome.
um, our room was on the first floor and right in the middle door. Like you got the middle doors that lead right to the big blue pool in the middle, and we were right in the middle section. So like we weren't close to the doors. We were right in the middle on the first floor, so it was quick and easy to get out that door to head either to the bus or the Skyliner. So I couldn't have asked for a better spot, like in the building as well.
That's really
So
nice.
I was really surprised by that and
Mm-hmm.
really happy with the room that we got.
So
Uh,
what was your family's reaction of that resort? Because we've stayed there and that resort is very cool, like especially for kids. It's so over the top with the statues and the decorations.
yeah, it was really nice, and I kept it a secret that we had upgraded from them. I had told my wife just a couple of days before that we weren't staying at Pop, we were staying there, and then the boys like loved it when we got there. They were really excited with all the statues, well not statues but characters all over the
Mm-hmm.
place, and the decorations. The room was really nice. The boys loved going back and forth between the couch bed and the pull down table bed. Um, and it was nice having the extra space to just kind of spread out, to not have to live out of our suitcases. We had dressers to put our clothes in. We had 2 bathrooms, so we had more time to separately get ready in the mornings. Um, I didn't really have any complaints. I think if we had ended up maybe like in that last Cars building or something like that, it would have maybe been a longer walk. And I heard like the Little Mermaid rooms, if you go with those, which aren't suites, but those looked like the very long walk as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty spaced out. Um, and later on, we did walk across and kind of checked out Pop Century a little bit and walked around. And I was kind of glad, like, because that place seemed really spread out. And if you got one of the further away buildings, it seemed like it could have been a long walk. Um, the pool was very nice, the Finding Nemo pool. We liked the Lion King area in the middle, how it just felt so different from like where we were staying. And the Cars section was really nice. Unfortunately, they had Lightning McQueen covered up because they were repainting it or something else, so we couldn't get pictures with Lightning McQueen there. But
That's a
um,
bummer.
the Cozy Cone area was nice, and like I said, it was a very quick walk over to the lobby and to the Skyliner. The lobby was decorated nice, all the pictures and everything else they have there. The gift shop was nice. We didn't really utilize the food court too much. We got dinner one night from there and snacks a few times, but it was just we picked it up and took it to the room, so we didn't really eat in there. But other than that, really was happy with it.
That's great. So what did y'all do your first day while you were there?
Hey parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
So like I said, I was expecting to have the time to wait for our room, and since it was immediately ready, we went straight back to the room to empty out our stuff and kind of settle in, unpack. And we had the stroller we had ordered from Kingdom Strollers to be dropped off. Just got the City Mini, and that one was nice. It folds up real easily, just has a pull handle and just folds right in half. And had ordered groceries through Walmart. Those were also delivered within half an hour of getting there. So we went and picked those up. So once we got everything in the room and settled in, we took the bus over to Disney Springs for the day. We got to Disney Springs about 12:30, walked around. We had a reservation at 2 o'clock for T-Rex. Again, my son loves dinosaurs, so I thought it'd be a hit. We ended up getting seated in like the aquarium section,
Mm-hmm.
so we weren't really by the dinosaurs. And then like they have like the meteor shower or whatever go off every so often. And we learned through this trip that anytime we were in a darker setting with lights flashing or thunder going off, he would get scared. So it took him the entire meal just about to kind of get over that.
Mm-hmm.
And so while the decor was really nice, like we weren't really thrilled with the food. Tristan had just got a burger. He really liked it. I ordered meatloaf, and it was very dry and kind of tasteless. Marissa had gotten a trio where it was like steak, shrimp, and I forget what else. She said that it was okay, nothing special. So overall, the food was kind of but the atmosphere was really cool in there. And then after we ate, they had like a Build-A-Bear, but with dinosaurs. So he got to build his own dinosaur. So
That's
he liked
cute.
that.
Yeah, I've heard that mixed reviews on that food. Sometimes people love it and sometimes people don't. So I guess it just kind of depends maybe who's cooking that day.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I knew like we had later had a reservation for Rainforest Cafe on our Animal Kingdom day. And I knew it was like basically the same thing. And we had never ate at either place before. So I ended up canceling that like kind of right away because it was like, it's going to be like the same thing.
Yeah.
And so
That was probably a good idea because I've never heard a good thing about that restaurant ever. So that was probably a smart move on your part.
Yeah, so after lunch, we made our way over to Gideon's. We got there at about 3:15. Marissa really wanted the cookies. She and planning for this trip and everything, she's never been big on theme parks, and it's not her ideal vacation. Her ideal vacations have been a beach and a hammock and a book. So it took a lot of convincing to get her excited for this trip at first.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things to try to get her excited was food because she loves food. So I'd spent a lot of time looking up restaurants and everything to just try to get things that she would like and be excited for. So she found out about these cookies and how everyone raved about them. But we were prepared for a long wait. And we ended up only waiting about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
To get in. Yeah. I mean, this was at like 3:15 in the afternoon, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
The special that day was peanut butter and chocolate swirl, but they were out of them by the time we got there. Same with the coffee one that they had. I would have liked to got, but they were out of those as well. So we ended up getting the 6-pack of those. After that, we just kind of walked around all the shops, World of Disney, Christmas store to get some ornaments, checked out the M&M store, the Coca-Cola store, the Star Wars stores and everything else. Didn't really buy too much. Like we had kind of planned to just try to get a lot of souvenirs like out of the way that day so that we weren't spending as much time in the gift shops throughout the trip. but that didn't really happen. Like we bought a few things, but it was more kind of just checking out the area.
Mm-hmm.
We originally had a reservation for Sebastian's at 6:30, but realized that, by the time we got there and did the T-Rex and stuff, it wasn't going to be enough time. So like the day before I had canceled that. So for dinner, what did we do? We left about 6:30. It was a long walk. Like Art of Animation was like the furthest bus stop to get to from Disney Springs. So took the kids to play in the splash pad for a bit, but said the water was too warm and the breeze was really cold out. So that didn't last too long. Got a few bites of food from the groceries we had, and just kind of went to bed early at 9 o'clock. Just knew it was going to be a long day tomorrow. So that was our first day.
That sounds great. Yeah, I love Disney Springs. I think it's a fun way to kind of start your trip off. Just kind of immerse you a little bit in the Disney experience without being too overwhelming.
Yeah, because the last time we were there, it was still Downtown Disney, and I imagine it was much smaller. And the only thing that I remember about Downtown Disney was Disney Quest. But it was something that we never got to. Like, I remember, like, we had gotten one of those VHS tapes in the mail with, like, the vacation planning. And that was one of the things, like, I kept telling my dad I wanted to do back then. And it was funny when we were planning this, like, I was trying to find something similar to get the kids hyped up for the trip. And I guess they don't make those anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's all we had back then before smartphones to get hyped up for a trip like that.
Oh, yeah. And that was very exciting.
So funny, like, how things evolve. So.
That's so fun. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about your first park day. What park did y'all visit?
So we started with Magic Kingdom. Park hours for that day, including the early entry, were 8:30 to 11 p.m. They had updated the park hours just a week before our trip, extended the both morning and evening times for just about every park. So it kind of threw off some of like the food reservations that we had, but it was nice to have the longer hours as an option. So our first day, weather for the day was good. It wasn't too hot and the humidity was low. We woke up at 6:15 to eat and get ready for the day. And that's when at 7 a.m., attempting to make my Genie Plus selection, I thought we had paid for it and that was included just for the app to tell me to buy Genie Plus. And so like I started freaking out. I had a whole plan for our first day, trying to make it like perfect and stuff for the family to get good first impressions. Which I did forget to mention that my wife had gotten a DAS pass and had pre-registered for that. I don't know if you want me to explain like the registration process.
Yeah, that would be great.
So you can pre-register for it between 30 and 2 days before your trip. And it's important to know too, that's to do it 30 days before your first park day. So if like you have, like we did at Disney Springs, the first day, don't include that. It's only 30 days from your first park day. You can still do it from your 30 days from your first day there. But if you want to make the advanced ride selections, it has to be 30 days from your first park day.
Gotcha.
So I heard the wait times for it are very long. You go to the website and look up for the DAS, and it will do a video chat to pre-register. So we did it on a Sunday and didn't get on it until about 10:30. And you go through like kind of the setup, and then it'll put you in queue, and the website will like keep trying to like kick you off like every half hour or so. And so you've just got to constantly like keep it up on your screen, refresh, like type something into the chat bar and delete it just to keep it like active. And so thankfully I'd done it on the computer, so I didn't have to have my phone tied up all day,
Mm-hmm.
because I was, doing it for her, but whoever you're registering has to be on the video chat. So after like an hour or so, like I sent a screenshot to the travel agent, like, is this, what I should be looking at? Because it's booted me off and I've had to reconnect and it's still showing that it's on, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just kind of how it goes. So like I said, we got on at 10:30 and we were about ready to give up. I was, taking the laptop from room to room so like I could look at the screen and hear it if in case they came on. Finally at 7:30 p.m.
Oh my God.
right after we finished dinner, like the chat comes up like, "Hi, someone's going to be with you shortly. Make sure you're ready."
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it was like 9 hours or so on wait.
Wow.
Um, and so like they just they met with Marissa and asked her why she would need it. It was pretty easy process. And the woman that was with her said that she was kind of borderline whether to use it or not, that she could probably just use a wheelchair, but she's like, I'm gonna sprinkle some pixie dust and give it to you guys.
That's
and
great.
and then we had mentioned for my son who has ADHD. She's like, oh yeah, he definitely qualifies for that as well too. And so she's like, we'll keep it under Marissa, because it kind of it confuses things if you have two people on it.
Okay.
That's as far as booking rides and everything. But she said, if later in the trip, could because anytime we want to use the DAS pass, like Marissa has to be the one on it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like doing rider swap and stuff with my youngest son, she has to always be the first one to ride. And so we had asked, well, what if there's something that Marissa doesn't want to ride, but Tristan does, or, wants to just do it with me. And so that's when they said, well, if it comes to that, then yeah, you can have them added on while you're at the parks. But anyway, after she got that set up, they transferred over to where you can select 2 rides per day in advance.
Okay.
And so they would, have a list. It wasn't all of the rides, but they'd have a list of all the rides you could use at each park. And then, so you would give them the top 3 rides that you would like to ride, and then whether you want to try to do it morning, afternoon, or evening. And then it'd kick back and tell me which 2 rides they gave and what hour time frames to do them. So I heard that's a lot like how the Fast Pass kind of used to work.
Yeah, that was pretty much how Fast Pass worked. Yeah.
So that was the registration process. So we had 2 rides booked for each day while we were there for our trip. So anyway, yeah, so I was getting really frustrated with not being able to make the Genie Plus selection. I tried texting the travel agent, but I didn't hear back from her for a few hours. So we finished getting ready, went up to the front desk. That was about 7:20. Talked to them, looked up our information and everything, and showed that it was just base tickets without the Genie Plus on it, but it did show that we still had the Memory Maker package that we had got. So, I was kind of frustrated thinking I'd already spent the money on the Genie Plus, so now I've got to spend the extra $60 a day every day. Not an expense I was kind of ready for.
Yeah.
So it kind of just threw my whole mood off for that morning. We got in line for the bus at 7:45. Purchased Genie Plus while we were on the bus, and my first selection was for meeting Mickey at Town Square. We got that for $11.50 to $12.50. We arrived at Magic Kingdom at 8:20. Took pictures in front of the castle and everything. We were still there kind of for early entry because the park didn't officially open till 9. But I didn't have any plans for like rope dropping or anything like that. So we were still good there. I had it like in my head that because of my wife's condition, we were trying to not walk so much. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to constantly think, because I'm a mail carrier and I'm used to walking like 9 miles a day anyway. So being on my feet and walking was nothing to me, but for everyone else, you know. So I was trying to remember that the whole time. So I had this whole plan to like focus only on the left side of the park for Adventureland and Frontierland and maybe Liberty Square, so we weren't crossing back and forth. And that was a hard lesson to learn with this Genie Plus. Like, you kind of have to let go of it and just kind of go with it, even if it
Yeah.
means you're doing a little bit extra walking. Um, so yeah, we took the pictures and kind of took in Main Street and waited for 9. So we had a good 40 minutes to just kind of take in Main Street and get pictures and everything. And you know, right before 9, we kind of lined up for Adventureland, and there was already, you know, a good amount of people that were just waiting for that to open, because they only have Tomorrowland and Fantasyland open for early entry. Um, so I was still at that point still struggling to like get past the events of the morning and like clear my head. So as we walked into Adventureland, I made the choice to rope drop the Enchanted Tiki Room. So I don't know if anyone has ever done that. But I knew like what that show was about, and that Walt had a part in it, and you know, nobody was there for it. So I was like, let's go in here and do this. And it was something to like kind of clear my head and remind me why we were there. And so just during the whole show, like we were the only ones in there for that show. like they held the doors open, and after like a minute, she's like, yeah, nobody else is coming in here, so let's give you guys your own show.
That's so cool. Y'all had like a private showing.
And I was like, you know, just I wanted to get back in the right mindset for the day, because I did not want. I struggle with obsessive compulsive, and I was like, you know, I've heard from a lot of people, like a lot of the most magical moments happen when you just let things come to you and not try to keep on a schedule, and, you know, keep a schedule, like have an idea, game plan, but don't try to stick to it. And that's what I used that show, and just kind of watched my boys just kind of looking up and smiling. And by the end of it, my 3-year-old's kind of singing the Tiki song a little bit. And I was like, there we go. Like,
Yeah.
I'm back. So after that, we ordered a fruit and waffle sandwich from the Sleepy Hollow. And that was really big. Like, we weren't really hungry, but I had heard that these were good, and, you know, they can sell out because they're popular. So I wanted to try that. It was really big, so we ended up just sharing that. At 10 o'clock, we went over to Pirates. That was booked through DAS. So pretty much as soon as you scan into the park, you can start selecting them. And the way it works is whatever like the current standby wait time is, and you'll select that ride, and then it'll tell you to come back that long later.
Okay.
So if it was a half-hour wait, it would tell you to come back and return half an hour later. So you're basically kind of like waiting in the line, waiting but not in the line.
Mm-hmm.
And with having Genie Plus on top of that too, like pretty much our entire trip, we did not really wait in any lines. I think one
That's
of our
nice.
longest waits might have been 20 minutes.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And like I didn't even know about the DAS until, you know, right at that like 30-day mark, right around there. So it ended up being a real blessing for my wife and for our family, really, too, to be able to enjoy a lot. So yeah, we rode Pirates. That was one of the things I was most excited for, and my son still sings Yo-Ho. So. You know, and then the last time we were there, like they didn't have, you know, the movie characters on the ride, so that was all changed since we'd been on there. So yeah, we ended up waiting like 2 minutes to get onto that.
That's awesome.
Walked around Frontierland taking pictures. 1050, we used a DAS for Big Thunder Mountain using Rider Switch. Dylan at this point, like I bought shoes with like the thickest soles I could find for him. And with those, he was measuring just under 39 inches. So he wasn't hitting, there was a
Mm-hmm.
good handful of rides that he couldn't do that were right at the 40 inch, but he was able to get on a couple that were at the 38-inch mark. Um, so with the rider swap, we just let them know, at the entrance to the line that we want to use it, and they'll take Tristan, who, because of this, got to ride everything twice, pretty much that
Yep.
Dylan couldn't ride. So he had it made.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll just scan his magic band to set him up to ride twice, and then so Marissa and Tristan rode that. Waited about 20 minutes from the time they got in line to the time they got back out. Then Tristan and I went through and got on and off in 17 minutes. At 11:42, we picked up another mobile order from Pecos Bill and ate. I think Marissa got an empanada or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan got quesadilla. I got fajitas. So all that was really good food. Found a spot under an umbrella and ate, sat down and ate. At this point, I was still trying to get Genie Plus and using the DAS system down. Like I, kind of watched a lot of videos and practiced and everything, did a lot of research, but it's still like completely different. It felt, once you were actually there and trying to use it. So I was still trying to get that down because I was trying to stick to us keeping from us from walking back and forth and so that was kind of the point where I was really learning, like, okay, I need to let go of this a bit. So we ended up not going to our advanced DAS that we had selected for Haunted Mansion, just because the timing wasn't working out for us. At 12:25, we got in line for our advanced DAS selection for Jungle Cruise. We only waited for about 2 boats to go through before we got on.
That's great.
So that was quick.
Because that line is always long.
Yeah. And I heard too, like it's a very boring line. It can get very hot over there. So yeah, we didn't wait too long for that. Like I said, just 2 boats went through before we were on. Our skipper was great. And then we had a little hold up when we were waiting to get back off the boat. I think they had some like wheelchairs and stuff they were going through, so it took a little time to get off. So he was trying to fill up that time and then was asking for anyone on the boat if they had anything they wanted to say. So my son sticks his hand up and gives his corny dad joke. He trying to remember what it was. I don't remember what it was, but he my son gives off his own joke and he's like, all right. So he takes off his hat and tries to give it to him. He's like, my job's over, So
That's so
everybody
fun.
had a good laugh. So after Jungle Cruise, we mobile ordered some treats from Sunshine Tree Terrace. We had missed our time that I had booked the Genie Plus for Mickey that morning. So at that point, at 1:30, we got back on the bus to head back to the resort. Our kind of plan was to take afternoon breaks each day since we didn't really have a full rest day. So pretty much just during the hot afternoons, every day we kind of planned to just head back to the resort to take a nap. It took 30 minutes from the bus stop to walking back into our room. So at 2 o'clock we got there, took a nap. 4 o'clock we left the room, took the bus back to Magic Kingdom, and then took the boat over to Wilderness Lodge for our 5:30 dinner at Whispering Canyon. I think this ended up being our favorite meal for the entire trip.
Mm-hmm.
The dinner was very good. The resort looked really nice. Like I feel like if we go back, that's one of the ones I might try to go to. I love lodges and cabins and just woodsy feels. So that was all me right there.
Yeah, that resort is so nice, and it doesn't even feel like you're at Disney when you're at it.
yeah, it was like you're close to Magic Kingdom, but once you get there, you feel like you're definitely somewhere else.
Yeah, it's so
Uh,
nice.
and it was nice too. We had another lady that was on the boat that helped direct us to get to the lodge to where the restaurant is. Because without her, we probably would have spent some time trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we were cutting it real close too, like when the bus or when the boat arrived, when we were getting ready to get on the boat, like we asked, like, do you think we're gonna make it there by 5:30? And he's like,
Yeah.
it'll be close, but I think you'll be okay. Because I was like on the app, like there's one open for like 6:15. Like, should I push it back another 45 minutes? And he's like, no, you'll be okay. So
Yeah.
so we made our way back there. Tristan and Marissa ordered the pig, and I got the traditional. So these were like all you care to eat skillets.
Hmm.
Um, and then Dylan got mac and cheese. Halfway through the meal, the servers came out with wooden horse racing sticks. And so the boys joined in doing some laps around the restaurant. Everyone cheered them on. So that was fun.
That's so
Um,
fun.
like I'd heard kind of there's like antics and stuff at
Hmm.
this restaurant, but our server didn't really do much other than like if we asked for a side or a refill or anything, she just like I guess whenever I get to it,
Yeah.
kind of like talk like that. But other than that, like our specific server didn't like pull too much on us. We
Hmm.
heard some others around us kind of giving more slack to other people. Um, but it was funny, I guess it's a thing to ask for ketchup.
Yeah.
So every time someone would ask for ketchup, like they'd end up with like 20 or 30 bottles of ketchup on their table.
Yeah.
But we had a good laugh, and the food was really good. So then at 7:30 was when we headed back to Magic Kingdom. And at that time, we got to use another Genie Plus since we had canceled the other one for Mickey. So we got pictures with Mickey. This was, only a week or two after they brought back hugs and
Hmm.
and meet and greets. So that was nice to be able to do that because, the whole time leading up to the trip, like we were trying. Dylan had never had to wear face masks before, so like we were trying to practice getting him used to that for the airplane and everything else, and they dropped that, so that was nice.
Hmm.
And then the character meet and greets came back, so it was great to get pictures of him running up and hugging Mickey and everything. So that was nice.
I know y'all
Uh,
really went at like the perfect time.
yeah,
Like
it was like
that's
all
so
these things were
nice.
coming back, and it was like, yeah, we missed out on Guardians of the Galaxy and Tron. Like they're not out yet, but like we got so much added on before our trip that
Yeah,
it was great.
that's so
Um,
great.
and yeah, like the whole year because we started planning like the beginning of March, and the whole year just like seeing the trend of how busier it is than it normally is for these times of year. It was like, oh no, like,
Hmm.
and the beginning of the trip, like I said, the crowds didn't seem too bad, but like certain areas of the parks, and as our trip went on, it seemed to slowly get busier and busier towards
Hmm.
the end of the trip. Um, so after Mickey, we went over to Buzz Light. We had gotten an 803 for Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin, um, but I guess the ride was down before we got there, so it had only just come back up before we got over there. So the Lightning Lane line was really long, and it was like, all right, well, we're trying to get a few more things in before the fireworks, so we ended up skipping it, and we had a dash for Space Mountain at 8:08, so we had to do the rider swap on that. Um, Everyone loved it. Like my wife, my son, and I. Space Mountain was awesome, and
Hmm.
I was surprised. Like my wife really liked it. Like she's not huge on roller coasters. She'll ride them, but like she's not like a thrill junkie
Hmm.
thing. And for me, like because we live half an hour from Cedar Point, and we normally have season passes. Um, and I told them like, hey, we're not getting season passes this year. We're going to Disney. So
Yeah.
So it's like I'm used to like the big fast roller coasters and everything. So I knew like, these are more family style and stuff. So it's for the kids. Tristan really liked it, and I was giggling through the whole thing just because you're in the dark and you don't have like any sense of direction or which way it's going. So
Yeah.
that's what makes that ride so much fun.
Oh, for sure. I think if the lights were on, it would not be as fun.
Yeah. So that one, Marissa and Tristan rode first, then Tristan and I rode, and while we were riding the second time, Marissa and Dylan headed towards the hub to try to get a spot for the fireworks. Um, so after we got off, we headed towards them and fought our way over to them. They got a spot kind of on the side in front of the Plaza restaurant, so kind of further back, but it was still a good spot. Like you couldn't really see the projections on the castle from where we were, but that was okay. So we enjoyed the fireworks. They were better than any fireworks show that we'll see at home.
Yes.
But they weren't like dazzling, awe-inspiring, or anything like that. Like the kids liked it. It was a nice show. I don't know if there was weather or anything, but Tinkerbell didn't come out.
There must have been lightning.
She kind of flies out of there. Yeah, I don't know if it was like high winds or something that night. So then after the fireworks, after it got off Space Mountain, we did a DAS for Mine Train, the Seven Doors Mine Train. So that was ready for us to ride after the fireworks. We got in line at 9:30. Standby was posted for 50 minutes. We got off the ride at 9:45, so it was 15 minutes on and off.
Yeah.
And we all really liked that too, especially since that was one Dylan could ride.
Yeah.
And being at night, that was really fun to do. And then at 10:05, we went over to the Haunted Mansion with Genie Plus selection, waited 5 minutes. And then at 10:30, we headed back to the bus to head back to the resort. And that was our night. We all showered and crashed.
Did your little one like the Haunted Mansion? Was he scared?
I rode it with him. He just doesn't really like the dark. And so we just told him, if he gets scared, you just, you point at the ghosts and tell him, you don't scare me, I scare you. And you give them a face and stuff. But he didn't. He kind of just sat quietly and looked around. Like he wasn't scared, but he didn't really like it either. So he just kind of sat quietly through it.
Because my 9-year-old daughter, she's kind of sensitive, but it still freaks her out. Like there'll be parts where she'll go be like, I don't understand why it's so dark right now. It's kind of dark. But yeah.
I always liked the room where like they're dancing.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was like, and that's how my son ended up being. He's like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And so he's always like interested in like how they do some of the things on the rides and stuff. So,
that's fun.
And that's like he doesn't get spoiled like when you tell him like how they do it. So I explain to him how it's just like mirrors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What sense?
It is pretty cool though. That's my favorite ride at Magic Kingdom. I love the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Like for me, it was cool doing it at night, even though it's indoors, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So how was the bus, like the wait for the bus when y'all left the park? Did y'all have to wait a long time for the bus? Were there a lot of people there?
I want to say about 15 minutes. There was a good amount of people there, but they really crammed the buses full. So, no more 6 feet. You're breathing each other's air definitely on these buses.
Yep. That's for sure.
I think that's why the next day the Skyliner was so nice.
The Skyliner's amazing.
So our next day.
So
our next day, Hollywood Studios.
You went to Hollywood Studios your second day?
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about that.
Park hours for this day were 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Again, the weather was good. It was like the whole time we were there, again, crowds were going up and the weather was getting hotter throughout the trip. So the first few days weren't too bad. I want to say it was like 78, 82, somewhere in that range,
Mm-hmm.
but really no humidity. I also felt like the crowds were still manageable here this day, except when we got into Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land, then it felt really crowded in those areas, but
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the park like felt not empty, but it's pretty spaced out.
Yeah.
Um, so this day we woke up at 6:30. I purchased Genie Plus for this day as well. At 7 a.m., I bought Rise of Resistance, and Marissa was gonna go for Millennium Falcon, so we were both on at the same time. 6:59, started refreshing the screen. As soon as it popped up, like I just had those two rides selected to be on top. Um, so I bought Rise and got 9:25 to 10:25, and Marissa's like she was refreshing, but the times weren't popping up for her. So once I finished purchasing it, then I selected the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and so by then it was like 7:02, and we ended up with 10:05 to 11:05 for
Oh,
that.
that's good.
Because I knew like Slinky Dog was like the thing most people go for,
Yeah.
so I was like, I want to make sure I do the Star Wars ride so we can use the DAS for like Slinky Dog.
That's smart.
So, and I like wanted to try to get them for the morning, so that's why I went with Millennium Falcon, and still got a nice early time. Um, so after securing those rides, I was already feeling much better this morning about the app and like the whole 7 o'clock thing. Like I wasn't too worried. Like the having the DAS just it made like not worrying so much about Genie Plus, and wasn't stressed out about it. Wasn't like, oh my god, I gotta get this. Um, so we left the resort at 7:30, taking the Skyliner. This was definitely all of our favorite transportation, and almost every time we used it throughout the trip, like we had our own gondola. I
That's
think that's a
great.
couple times where there was like two other people, but because we had the stroller, I think like most of the time they just gave it to us,
Yeah.
and the line wasn't too long either. Like it, because the Skyliner's right in between Art of Animation and Pop Century. It's like a little island dock right there in the middle of the lake, and so like the line kind of like wrapped back towards Pop Century, but didn't go back so far that it was actually in like the resort area. It was still
Mm-hmm.
like the bridge. We only waited like 5-10 minutes. Like the line just continually moves because the thing's continually moving. So it was really smooth getting on there. It was fun each time practicing getting that stroller on and off because like it's moving the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was like practicing not getting the wheel caught on the door, trying to back it back out of it.
Yep. It's like an adventure.
Yeah. Um, got through security in the gates at 7:50, so we were there 10 minutes before the early entry started, and people were already in the park. Um, so we took some pictures and everything once we got inside, and went straight back to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Um, we got in line for that at 7:55, and they were already letting people in. And it was a fairly long line for, rope drop kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But we were moving pretty consistently up until, right before they take you in for like the little pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we got off that at 8:30. Marissa and Tristan really liked it a lot. I liked it. Dylan not so much, and we kind of learned throughout the thing a lot of the trackless rides. Dylan ended up not really loving them so much.
Huh.
Like, he liked Mickey and Minnie, but he didn't really seem to have much expression throughout it. Um, I thought it was interesting. It was the first time kind of doing a ride like that. Um, I thought that was kind of weird though, like how Mickey and Minnie's faces are like projected onto the bodies throughout the ride. It just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of threw me off. It just felt a little weird.
Yeah.
So that was interesting for us. Again, when I was there last, it was still MGM Studios, and I think that was like the Great Movie Ride or something
Yes,
like
and I
that.
loved that ride.
Uh, I want to say like that park definitely felt the most changed from when we were there
Yeah.
because like I feel like we only really had like a half day there when we had gone before because really like they had Indiana Jones and they had Tower of Terror and the Rock and Roller Coaster was brand new and and that was one of my like I wouldn't say fond but clear memories was when I was a kid I was kind of scared of roller coasters and it wasn't until right and even during that time when we were there like I would ride roller coasters but none that would go upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was scared to go upside down on a roller coaster and I don't know if like my dad had just tricked me and said it didn't go upside down or just told me or it's in the dark so you won't know you're upside down, but I was brave enough to attempt it and my dad and brother and I waited like an hour and a half, 2 hours for this ride.
Oh my
And as
gosh.
soon as like we got into the station and my brother saw like how the trains take off
Uh-huh.
real fast, he chickened out and got scared, and so we all like left it and didn't get to ride it.
Oh no.
So this was my first time. This was the first time getting to ride it now.
Oh
After
man.
waiting 2 hours and not riding it, my dad was ticked.
Yeah, honestly, when my kids have tried to pull that with me before after we waited in line, and I just make them ride it. I'm not the nice mom that's like, okay. I'm like, you're riding this ride.
So yeah, the park definitely felt different, and especially having the new lands they added onto it and everything. Um, but anyway, after Mickey and Minnie's, let's see. We headed over to Star Tours and did standby for that with a rider switch. It was only posted a 5-minute wait. Um, the first pair went in. I think Marissa did it first here as well. Went in at 8:45 and was back out at 9 o'clock. Then the second pair of us went in at 9:04 and was back out in only like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So again, quick. This was kind of first thing in the mornings, not the thing that people really, I guess, head to early in the morning. And that was there when I was there before, and I sort of remembered it. I remembered the big AT-AT outside, and I love this ride. Like looking back, it's definitely like top 5 for me. And finding out too, like that there's multiple rides to it now, like the scenes change.
Yeah.
One of my regrets was not getting to ride it more to see like all the different ones, because the one we got was like with Boba Fett chasing us,
Mm-hmm.
and like the one my wife rode was on Scarif, and then like I got to ride it a second time later and ended up getting the one that Marissa had done. So it was like those were the only 2 scenes that we got to see, and I kind of wish I'd got to see more of them. But I mean, just yeah, the scenery outside of the ride, seeing R2 and C3PO, in the queue and everything, and even like on the ride is just, it's awesome. Like I love Star Wars. My son loves Star Wars, so it was definitely cool seeing that again. So at this point, it was time to head over to Galaxy's Edge, something Tristan and I were very excited for. We used the paid Lightning Lane for Rise at 9:30. Standby was posted at 150 minutes.
My gosh.
Again, Marissa and Tristan went first, and then while they went in, I kind of figured like, even though it was Lightning Lane at 150 minutes, like this has got to take a while still. So I didn't want to just sit there in the sun with Dylan waiting. So I ended up mobile ordering some blue milk and headed over. Like I didn't even know like where like the milk stand was, so I had to look it up on the app, and I was like, oh, it's like all the way out on the other side. So my first impressions of Galaxy's Edge was me kind of racing through it to get this milk and then head back over to Rise. But I mean, my jaw was down like walking the whole way there. Like it was awesome. Um, it's just unfortunate that that was my first view of it was just
Yeah.
to go get milk and come back.
Right.
Um, so I got the blue milk. It was okay. Like it wasn't anything great. Like, but that was kind of one of those you have to do it things.
Yep. Gotta try it.
Got back. Nobody else liked it, so I ended up like drinking most of it. Like Dylan kind of drank some of it, but um, so they got off, and then Tristan and I went back on. Um, so when Tristan and I went in, we walked right into like the first pre-show. Um, so I thought it was very fun, a very immersive experience. I don't want to like ruin it. Like I know it's been out for a while, but I don't want to give details. But it was really cool, and you kind of go from like place to place, and like the ride doesn't even really start until like you're already like kind of halfway through it, because they just have like what you would call a pre-show, but not like you're just being brought into like the experience in a whole, and so that was very fun.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
after we all
amazing.
finished that, yeah,
The way they have it
after we
all
all
set up.
finished, yeah, after we all finished that, Mobile ordered Ronto wraps from Ronto Roasters, another food item that I heard was one of those must-haves, and Tristan didn't really care for it. Marissa was kind of on it, but I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I love different kinds of coleslaw with things, and the sausage was really good. Um, After that, we went into the Smuggler's Run at 10:50 with the other Genie Plus that we had got. Waited 5 minutes for this, and thankfully this was another one that Dylan could go on with us. And right after going in, booked another Lightning Lane for Tower of Terror for 6:30 to 7:30 that night, because I knew like this was one of the parks where like the Lightning Lanes just book up real fast. So I was like, all right, well, I know like it was kind of difficult when it came to the Genie Plus things when with taking these afternoon breaks to try to like plan around that for booking things. So this is one park where it worked out better because a lot of things start booking up till later in the night. So even in the morning, I was able to book our things for after our break times. So Dylan and I ended up being pilots while Marissa and Tristan were gunners, and then I think they had single riders come in for the engineers. We flew pretty terribly.
I think everyone does their first time.
I had the left to right controls while my 3-year-old had the up and down. So like I'm reaching across and like trying to do both because he just kept like pushing it all the way up.
Yeah. That's so funny.
But it was fun. And I mean, the ride itself wasn't like spectacular or anything. It was about as what I would have expected from what I heard about it. It was the queue that like I loved. Because you have like the Falcon that's sitting outside, but you can only like see so much of it. But when you're walking up the queue, you can see the backside of it and kind of see from the top, from the back. And so it was really nice getting to see like the rest of the ship.
Yeah, it's
and
so cool.
Like walking into the ride, you're walking like through the hallways, and you see the sabacc table and all these things that you will see from the clips in the movie, and like you're in it, and it just felt awesome.
Yeah. The details are amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, I was happier, or just as happy doing that as the actual ride itself.
Yeah.
Let's see. So after that, took some more pictures and then headed over to Toy Story Land, because like our deep dive into Galaxy's Edge was planned for our second Hollywood Studios day. So for this day, it was mostly just kind of hitting the rides and getting back out. We started with Toy Story Mania, had the advanced DAS selection. Standby was posted for 50 minutes. We got in line at 11:30 and was back off at 11:45. So this was a lot of fun. We all liked it. Um, I've kind of heard people going on about their scores and stuff, and how some people say it's impossible to get over 200, and like you go on there and see the screens that people have gotten like 500,000 points on it. It's just like, how? Like,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah. I don't know how.
So I got the highest score of the four of us with 108,000 for my first go. So I was
Nice,
like,
nice.
I feel like that was a pretty good score.
Yep.
Maybe not, but to me it was.
Hey, I think it's a good score, yeah.
Marissa took Dylan with her, and I had Tristan. So I think he had like 8,000 or something. And he's like, "How did you do that?" And so, like, that was one of the things. Like, he loves his video games. So, I challenged him before the trip, like this and Buzz Lightyear. Like, look up your YouTube videos and stuff, how to get high scores so you
Yep.
can beat me, and kind of made it fun with that for him. Um, After that, well, that ride definitely wears like your arm out, because instead of like pressing a button, you got to pull like a little chain, and it's like you definitely feel the muscles in your arms like trying to go shoot that thing really fast.
Yeah, it's exhausting because then when you're like in the moment and you're all competitive, you don't realize it. But then afterwards, you're like, oh man, my arm's sore. Yep.
Yeah. Um, After that, we headed over to Slinky Dog Dash. We had a back-to-back advanced dash selection and a dash that we hit heading over to Toy Story Land. So we rode it twice in a row. Again, one that Dylan could ride. And right before that, too, I had mobile ordered Woody's lunchbox to be able to get after we got off. Um, Mobile ordered the tachos and the peanut butter fudge tart. So then we got in line for Slinky at 11:53. Standby was at 90 minutes. Rode it once, then got back in line a second time at 12:04. So Dylan loved the roller coaster, and the rest of us liked it. I think for myself, like, it just wasn't worth the hype that it seems to get for everyone. Again, maybe it's because I'm used to Cedar Point and like having these like huge coasters in a park that's so full of them, that I was just like, yeah, it was great for a kid's ride, but like for adults, I was like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
But Dylan loved it, so that's what matters,
Yeah.
Having the memory maker package for this was really great too, getting to get all these ride photos, where like normally like ride photos are just something that you look at after the ride and move on. So it was nice being able to keep all these photos. Not only from the photographers, but the ride photos were really nice too to be able to keep.
The ride photos are the best. I just love them, especially because
Yeah.
in your app, you don't get it right away. So it'll just like pop up later, and it's just so fun to
Yeah.
go back and look at.
Yeah, and it's so easy too, like using the magic bands and stuff. But they either like automatically somehow find you just from scanning in when you get in line,
Mm-hmm.
or like a few of the rides have them where you look after the ride and you tap it once, like under the screen that your picture is on. So like either way, like it was still just easy, and I'm just amazed like how you can scan in and it'll just find you and send it straight to your phone. Like,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
They're really advanced there.
Yes, absolutely.
So then yeah, we ate our food from Woody's lunchbox. It was kind of annoying because like there's very limited seating there, and you have just like vultures that claim tables when they don't even have any food, or other people that just like hover and take them up. So it's like, yeah, I kind of expected it. So we ended up just kind of finding a rock to sit on and ate there.
Yeah. Did y'all like the food?
Yeah, she really liked that. It was like, basically a giant Pop-Tart, but chocolate and peanut butter are her favorite. So she really liked it. The tachos were really good. We kind of just snacked a lot, instead of doing meals. Initially we had kind of planned like our to do like our dinner meal either before or after our breaks, try to like eating off at off times and just kind of snack and share snacks the rest of the times. Because pretty much every morning we just had breakfast in the room before we left. Cold cereal, oatmeal, bagels. So we usually had like a second breakfast snack once we got to the park.
Yeah.
And usually kind of just snacked and shared different things so we could try different things for lunch. Rather than spending so much money on food. We just kind of shared a lot of the stuff there. Which is something also that we did. We had done the gift cards for the trip. Paid most of the trip with gift cards through Target, and then came there with like 3 separate gift cards to kind of budget us for food and for souvenirs and stuff. So that was fairly easy, especially mobile ordering. You just had to type in your card number each time, but it wasn't a big deal. It just was nice and worked for us to keep our budget on our food and our souvenirs and everything.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I do the same thing. It's because you can get there, and especially with your credit card being linked to your Magic Band, it can get out of control. And before you know it, you've spent so much money because you just keep tapping your Magic Band. But yeah, I think buying the gift card so you can keep track of what you're spending, it makes you just more conscious of buying something.
Yeah, and I had like the gift cards like registered on the gift card website. So, every like end of the day I could just look up and see what my balance was. And I even forgot that you could charge, like just tap your Magic Band and charge it to your room. Like I only used that like once or twice because I kind of forgot about it. I was so used to using the gift cards. And another thing we'd forget that you could have your souvenirs and merchandise sent back to your room.
Yeah.
And I had planned on like using that so we didn't have to carry anything around, and I keep forgetting about that too. So a lot of times we had our stuff shoved under the stroller.
Well, I think it's because you had a stroller. If you didn't have a stroller, you don't forget that because then you have to carry it.
But then when it was time to like get on if we were taking the bus, like at the end of the day, then you'd have to like pull everything out to be able to fold it. So
like you hold this, you hold this, you hold this.
All right. Well, after that, we before we started eating, we had done a DAS for the alien swirling saucers. It had a 45-minute return time. We rode that. That was, even for the kids was kind of boring. Like, I mean, it's your little twirl ride, but it was like slow and you can't spin it fast, and it's just like, eh.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that ride can also get such long wait times. I guess it's other people like us that's just like, well, it's here. First timers, maybe.
Yeah, or kids. I want to go on
maybe
that.
Some kids like it, but none of us really did.
Yeah.
At 12:35, I booked a Genie Plus for Rock and Roller Coaster for between $355 and $455. Let's see. So after we did the Alien Swirling Saucers, it was 1:45 when we were back on the Skyliner to head back to the resort for our nap. At 4:30, we headed back and had to cancel the Rock and Roller Coaster since we missed that time. I think our nap just went longer than expected. And then rebooked it for between 8:05 and 9 p.m. We attempted to try to meet To the Stars at Red Carpet. We were told it was posted a 20-minute wait time, and we had a reservation for 5:20 at Sci-Fi Dine-In. So it was like kind of right across from it, and sort of, well, we should be able to squeeze in. So we got in line for that, did the check-in that we were there, and was expecting to be able to have time to do that before going over, but it was like immediately, oh, your table's ready. So we didn't get to get the pictures there with the characters, so we just went over and did our dinner there at Sci-Fi. This was one that I was excited for as well. ordered a barbecue burger. Tristan got a regular burger. I mean, the whole thing's kind of mostly just burgers and shakes,
Yeah.
but it was nice to be like in the dark, in the air conditioning, and just relax. Um, we that's what most of our table service ones were. It was just a nice break.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Marissa had ordered chicken pasta, and she complimented the meal, saying that the noodles tasted like they were handmade and
Oh,
that the pasta was
nice.
very good. Dylan got a kid's cheeseburger. So the burgers were really good, and I thought there was going to be actual like shows or anything, but it was more just like clips or trailers for
Yeah.
things. And through the entire time we were in there, it probably repeated itself about 3 times. So I'd say like if they could get longer shows or whatever to go through, so you weren't kind of watching the same thing over and over again. Um, it was all right. Like the whole
Yeah.
experience was really nice. I just thought they were going to be actual like shows that they were playing. We did get dessert. Tristan and I had gotten the donuts, and Marissa got a candy bar. And I'm thinking like $9 for a candy bar. Like this must be some good candy bar. Like not realizing it was like ice cream shaped like a candy bar.
Uh-huh.
um, Caramel apple is kind of my favorite dessert. So these donuts were, vanilla ice cream, caramel apples, and a donut. So that was really good. Um, After dinner, we hopped on standby for Muppets 3D. Pre-show started right as we had walked in, so walked out there again. We enjoyed the show, and afterwards went to Tatooine Traders for the boys to make lightsabers. So these were like the cheaper plastic lightsabers with
Mm-hmm.
like the extendable blades, basically like a flashlight with the tubes. But Tristan was kind of sad because for our second Hollywood Studios day, I had a reservation for Saudis, and he really wanted that, but I was like, I'm not. You're, they're not to play with. Like,
Yeah.
you guys get these.
Yeah.
So both boys got to make a lightsaber in there, and that whole process was really fun. So there was a cast member that helped assemble them, and they would pick all their different parts that they wanted, what color blades they wanted, and everything. And for like each section of the lightsaber, like he would tell them like whose lightsaber part that came from. Like, oh, this came from Obi-Wan, this came from Mace Windu, this came from Kylo Ren, so on and so forth. And he was very knowledgeable with it. So afterwards, I ended up giving him a cast compliment because of just like his knowledge and the time that he took with my son building it. So Tristan fancies himself a Sith, and so Darth Maul is his favorite character and his favorite lightsaber. So he basically made a Darth Maul double-sided lightsaber, but then also added the cross hilt on both sides from Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Nice.
So he ended up with this huge, like 6-foot long lightsaber.
Oh my gosh.
So that was fun having him carry that around.
Yeah. Right.
And then the one Dylan made ended up closely resembling Luke Skywalker's. He had a blue blade and everything. So pretty much every night at the hotel they had fun just doing lightsaber fights with those.
That's fun.
So and they're quite affordable too, having those, especially for something to custom make. Dylan's was $30, and because Tristan did the double-sided, his was $45, but still like not bad at all. And they really enjoyed that. And after they finished them and we were looking around the gift shop, another cast member in the shop came up to Dylan, and Dylan was pretend to swing the lightsaber at her. She said, hold on, and came back with another one and had a little duel with him.
Oh,
So that
that's
was
fun.
fun. So after they built their lightsabers, I was able to book a DAS for Tower of Terror for after 8:30, and we headed over to Rock and Roller Coaster. We got there at 8:20 with a posted 40-minute wait, did the rider swap. So Marissa and Tristan rode first, took about 15 minutes from them to walk on to getting off, and then Tristan and I rode, taking another 20 minutes. So this ended up being Tristan's favorite ride of the entire trip.
Oh, nice.
Rock and roller coaster. He said, because before it was Space Mountain, but he liked this one because it went faster and had a little bit more to it. I thought it was okay. Like, I still liked Space Mountain better because it was completely dark.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. At that point, it was 8:55, and so the park closed in 5 minutes, and we still had the Tower of Terror, and it's like, can we do it? Like, especially with the rider switch and everything, and Marissa's like, it's fine, you guys go. So Tristan and I, like, ran over there and scanned in at 8:59, got in right before it closed, was able to do that at night in the dark, which I felt like it made it even more fun, like when the doors open and shut and stuff, it was dark out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, that was also one of my favorite rides, because one of my memories from that was then I was wearing glasses, and I remember like my dad telling me to like try to like tuck the glasses in my shirt, and so like the whole little like scene that you move through the Twilight Zone, like I'm sitting here like trying to get my glasses in my shirt and like missed the whole thing, and we're like going up and down, and I'm like worried about not losing my glasses, so I didn't really get to enjoy it as a kid. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun this time not having glasses and having contacts in.
I love this ride. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
So that wrapped up the day. Like, I feel like I really handled the app and everything well this day. I mean, if I remember right, we did all of the rides in the park this day and the Muppet show. So the only thing really we missed were the shows.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to squeeze in every ride this day. So I felt like it was a well-accomplished day.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a while to get a hang of the Genie Plus, and especially since you were doing the DAS as well, like that's a lot to try to get a hang of. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this show and the first half of Josh's trip. The second half of his trip will be released next Friday, and you don't want to miss it because they do tons of really awesome dining. It's just a great show to listen to. If you're traveling to Disney this summer and want to be on the podcast, I would love to have you share your travel tale. Sharing your travel tale is such a great keepsake for yourself. You will love being able to listen back to your trip. There's a form in the show notes to fill out, and after you fill it out, I will get back to you within 48 hours, so make sure to check your junk folders. If Josh's trip has made you want to think about traveling to Disney, I would love to help you. See the show notes for a form to fill out if you're interested in traveling this year. There is still availability at Disneyland and Disney World for this year, but it's filling up quickly. So if you are wanting to squeeze in a vacation this year, let me know and let's get that planned. Until next time, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.